Francisco Perez. Welcome to another educational lesson. So today we're continuing the video about Captain Cook.
We'd like to demonstrate for you now the fighting art of the lua. Makakao. There's the break of the little finger. In the thumb, dislocation of the wrist, breaking of the elbow, and finally dislocation of the shoulder. He didn't use shields or helmets because it was unmanly, so the preference was to close with the enemy and fight hand to hand.
We didn't use shields, but on a one-on-one combat basis, but we did employ the use of shields. We used to use the turtle shell as shields and the paddle board as shield.
Then you right up in each other's face, and no guy that strikes the best blow, the killing blow, there's wins.
One man is to become the most celebrated Koa warrior of them all. Kamehameha, the man who stood out on Cook's ship. Legend has it that this man was destined for greatness. It was dictated from birth.
We don't know for certain when he was born, but the ancient Hawaiian records indicate that there was perhaps a comet, and we know that Halley's Comet comes in. We don't know for certain when he was born, but the ancient Hawaiian records indicate that there was perhaps a comet, and we know that born. But the ancient Hawaiian records indicate that there was perhaps born. But the ancient Hawaiian records indicate that there was born. But the ancient Hawaiian records indicate
Ancient Hawaiian records. One thing you don't know is living here, your history is concealed from you. The only history you hear or you know are the histories that specific families who are the masters of certain trades or knowledge or priesthoods kept the family knowledge within the family, just like we all did our genealogies. But when the European and the Asian speaks about your history, it always slips. There's always something that slips. They know more than they say, and they'll imply to it while they're talking if you listen to them. So they know much more about our history than we do. They understand the petroglyphs. They found our ancient writings. They understand the word evolutions that had begun. They know much more than what we know about our history, and it's because they have access to the ancient records. And you'll be seeing this in my next episode, another instance of this.
that there was perhaps a comet, and we know that Halley's Comet comes in 1757 or 1758.
Some folks will go and associate the appearance of the comet with the birth of the great leader.
There was a prophecy that he would be a destroyer of chiefs.
So that means at the time of Captain Cook, he was only like 18 years old.
The High Chief feels so threatened, he decides to act against the child, even though it's his own nephew.
He immediately ordered that the child be killed.
And so Kamehameha's family and his supporters actually hid the child. Chiefs.
The High Chief feels so threatened, he decides to act against the child, even though it's his own nephew.
He immediately ordered that the child be killed.
And so Kamehameha's family and his supporters actually hid the child.
The story goes, the young boy is spirited away to a remote valley on the wild north coast and guarded by a special unit of Koa warriors.
The boy had been raised only by warriors charged with his protection, and there were no other children in his life. He had only been raised to be a leader.
And this single boy growing up in the company of warriors now earns his name.
The name Kamehameha translates the lonely one.
The young boy is relentlessly drilled in the way of the Koa, and it becomes clear he has the makings of a mighty warrior.
Well, as he begins to grow, his physical size becomes apparent. The chiefs in general were physically larger than the common people. And even in a land of giants, Kamehameha was a very large man.
Hawaiian tradition states that it's now that Kamehameha determines to grasp his destiny. The young man takes on the legendary Naha stone, all 5,000 pounds of it.
Now listen to the stories whisked away and protected under the care of warriors. He's taught by men, warriors. And then the Naha stones, like the King Arthur story. Whoever lifts the stone will unite the islands and be king of all.
According to the story, similar to Arthur and the sword and the stone, if anyone would be able to move the stone, they would be able to conquer the entire island.
Down the years, countless warriors have taken up the challenge of the Naha stone, but all have failed. Until now.
This would have been something that added to his status and reputation as someone who was a contender for unifying all of the islands in the Hawaiian chain.
Kamehameha now proves his status as a great warrior when Hawaii wages war on neighboring Maui.
Kamehameha took no prisoners. He came in to kill everybody who stood against him or die trying.
Kamehameha's prowess in battle is soon recognized by the king.
It makes Kamehameha the war chieftain. He's responsible for the war god. So that clearly indicates that he must have been a very proficient warrior to have that high of a responsibility given him.
Okay, the reason why I'm playing this is because you're gonna hear these narrators and researchers describe the scene when Captain Cook came to Hawaii and was eventually killed. They will bring confusion because they will speak as if we are savage, as if we don't have any sense, as if we are uncivilized and untrained and unable to hold composure, and as if we're not military minded and totally disregarding the fact that we were a people, we were a friendly people who are warlike. So we were very nice, we were very moral, we were very helpful. We always extended hand, but yet we were always weary. So we're a cautious people, but very giving.
When the British arrive, the young Koa commander knows exactly what his job is. He must check out these strange outsiders who are clearly of a warrior race. Are these men a threat to his king, his people, and his mana?
So this Hawai'i, what we call today Hawai'i, is trained nothing but the highest special forces warriors of experience, which had wisdom, and without the disruption of other children and women, they were able to teach him 24/7 on how to govern and the truths of life. So right now he's like a general at his tender age, trying to analyze the situation. And you gotta understand, these people have been going all around the world, getting ties with the people, putting bioweapons upon the places they visit, and then conquering these places. You gotta understand, Captain Cook had, was it 3 ships? All filled with Marines. He had the most decorated battleships with the best cannons. And what did he do when he came? Let's find out.
Likewise, Cook takes the measure of the young warrior standing before him. He realizes, if there is trouble, this is the man to watch. We soon discovered amongst the chief's attendants, Kamehameha, a savager-looking face.
See, right now they're just saying, oh, Kamehameha, Kamehameha, but all my people are like that. We're all able to see right through people. We're all able to analyze, and we're logical, and we're critical. So not just Kamehameha, but his king, which probably had more wisdom than he did. All the other generals, chiefs, and special forces soldiers, because that's all it was special forces. If you were an American warrior, special forces, and your general, and then your commanding officer went into a negotiations, you know what I mean, compared to a normal person, everyone is vibrating. Everyone is analyzing everything as a warrior would, as a ruler would.
As I ever saw. Cook badly needs to go ashore to resupply his ships. But if there's any clash with the warriors, he realizes he will be outnumbered. Cook decides to show them if there is a fight, he's the one who will always have the upper hand.
Cook ordered that.
So he's like, oh, we gotta go to shore because we have to analyze where the food sources are, where the water sources are, who are the chiefs that do not, who dislike this situation and would ally with you. We have to go to shore and put in the bioweapons in specific regions, so people will start getting sick. We gotta go to shore and talk up the women. Let's have sex with the women. Go talk them up so we can figure out the power structure, every other thing. There's so many things that we do, not just in Hawaii, but everywhere we go. This is specific things like check mark, like checking it off a list. That's things they do. Yet when they educate us today, they say, no, we just came because we wanted to have fun. We wanted to help you. We just brought the Marines and the cannons just in case you got savage.
The cannons be fired to give a display of power, and they loaded powder but no ball and gave the command.
Motion fire when ready.
Fire!
When the cat.
So most of the, and then they probably purposely didn't tell them so that they would be affected, their eardrums would ring and they'd say, whoa, this is a tremendous power. Like, oh, now we gotta relax because we figured we could take all of them, but now we gotta do this, we gotta protect ourselves because they have a mighty power, this gunpowder.
Cannons were fired. The great roaring sound caused the Hawaiians to drop to the deck in fear and tremble. Kamehameha, again, the officers noticed, he didn't drop, he didn't even flinch.
To tell you the truth, they always make like, they came and we were like, oh, gods. But what if they came dressed up in these cloud ships, these floating islands, and they came here and they were like, shoot the cannons, boom, 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 boom. We are gods. We are them. What if they came? Just a thought. Trying to pretend to be gods. That's why when we seen them bleed, when our women slept with them and told us what had happened, how they didn't have prowess, how they're bad in bed, that they could not be gods. We were like, man, these guys are lying. They're liars.
But Cook simply doesn't seem to consider that Kamehameha is any real threat. He gets...
You see, they say, oh, Kamehameha is not a real threat. That's not the words of someone just coming there for supplies. That's the words of somebody trying to, saying, you know what? I seen these people, they only got stones and shit. They got bow and arrows. And when we shot it, man, I think we got this. I'm not scared of them.
Down to business, circumnavigating and meticulously charting the Big Island.
Oh, circumnavigating. So after he left with all the provisions, he went around the island, just constantly going around the island, having his cartographers draw everything and had his map and make all the maps and make sure all the maps is accurate. We gotta make sure everything is good. So our invasion, this is the biggest island. If we take this island, we should be able to hold. We can hold Hawaii indefinitely. Come on now, think about it from the mind of a conqueror.
For entering the broad shelter of Kilakakua Bay.
He's their greatest conqueror.
As the ships drop anchor,
not the greatest, but he is one of the greatest navigators.
Vessels.
It seems like the whole of the world has come on board the ship, and these 300-ton vessels are starting to move around a bit and start to heel over. There are so many very big Polynesian people on board them. And everybody's very enthusiastic. There's something which isn't, it's not a greeting, it's not a trading opportunity, it's a religious event.
No, it's a trading opportunity. First, the special forces came out. Make sure that there's no trouble because they had a lot of, they had big ships. So yeah, this is not intimidating. Let's see if they're here for trade, because all of us had participated in trade. So people coming back and forth wasn't nothing new, but we still had to make sure that people who are trading weren't trying to conquer us. So first the special forces, then everyone came on. We're used to seeing, you know what I mean, Mongoloids at the most, other Negro Polynesians, other Polynesian types. We're used to seeing all of this in canoes. So when this head came around, and it was exciting. Oh yeah, let's go and see it. But they're forcing us to believe that we're so naive that we'd worship them.
What Cook doesn't realize is that he has arrived at a highly unusual time in the normally war-torn Hawaii.
The arrival of Cook is associated with the harvest festival called the Makahiki.
So during this time, nobody can go to war. It's banned. It's banned to go to war.
Makahiki was associated with the god Lono, who was the god of agriculture and also, in a sense, the god of peace. And so during this time, there would have been no warfare.
Cook's ships have moored in a bay directly linked with Lono. Kilakakua literally means the pathway of the gods.
Lono was a fair-skinned god. He promised he would return on floating islands. So when Cook's ships were spotted with the great sails billowing from the yardarms, it was assumed these were the floating islands of Lono finally coming to return.
So this is where the legend comes, because the floating islands prophesied to return. So the return, he was able to use that to convince maybe the commoners, who knows, even maybe the chiefs. But I'm just proposing, what if maybe the commoners thought, but what if the chiefs were weary? But they had to go along and see, like, hey, let's just roll with it and see where this takes us, because what if? Right? Wouldn't you do that if that happened to you? Like, let's see where this goes. I don't know.
Certainly is quite a bit of evidence to show that the Hawaiians believed that Cook was Lono.
Some would argue that he was treated almost as a god. Some Hawaiians, there's accounts of them basically prostrating themselves on the ground in front of him.
Cook plays up to his newly anointed status as a god. Being Lono is proving highly profitable in securing some badly needed supplies.
They came looking for...
Now you gotta understand, they just came from America using the same tactic. Came from New Zealand and all those areas using the same tactic. Look at me, I'm white. Like the fallen angels.
Visions, and they came at a time when the way you showed off your righteousness to the God was to give away as much as you possibly could.
While provisions are gathered for the ships, Cook's sailors discover almost anything can be traded for a handful of iron nails.
One of the things we know about the interaction of the Cook expeditions with Polynesian societies is very high levels of social interchange between sailors who went ashore, native women.
Now you see, like, the women were having sex with them for nails. For nails. Because what this video is going to show you is that shit, I lost it. Oh man. What this video is going to show you is that we knew what nails was. We knew what metal was. We had a prior knowledge of metal, and we wanted it. I believe the chiefs and everyone wanted it because they wanted to make weapons. Like, there's this great army here now, these great people coming up. We must gather as much metal as we can, make weaponry. So if you look over here in this book, Narrative of a Tour Through Hawaii, or Hawai'i, with Observations by William Ellis. This talks about when they killed Captain Cook and they stole the boat, and they were talking to one of the gentlemen, and he said that well, we didn't need the boat. Our canoes are much more able to navigate the sea. We stole they took the boat to get the nails, you know. So we kept trying to get metal when this invading army had come with Marines and gunpowder, and they say we're trying to steal their stuff, but really we were just trying to, I'm thinking we were just trying to defend ourselves. So we needed weaponry that could compare to theirs or match up in a hand-to-hand, because they got muskets with knives with bayonets at the end, right? They have knives, they have machetes, they have swords, and we had obsidian stone, and, you know what I mean, wood weaponry.
High on the Hawaiian shopping list is anything made of iron.
See,
When the Hawaiians saw all of the metal on the ships,
iron.
they saw a huge wealth.
See,
They don't have iron.
we see all this metal. We scored. Remember the metal from our homeland? Remember from our land that we came from, when we forged swords? See, we had prior knowledge of metal, and then we came to a place, Hawaii, where there is no metal, so we had to do with what we had.
Iron ore, as in the raw state, only pieces of shipwrecks that came ashore would provide bits of metal that could be used for tools
See,
and
so
even small weapons.
we've already had shipwrecks coming ashore forever, and we would take the metal and use the metal. They say
not
to
everyone
forge
is caught up
fish
in
hooks,
this
but
virus.
we made better fish hooks out of bone and out of all the different stuff. But what could we use the metal for?
The
Weapons.
British don't need any warriors, and the warriors don't have anything that the British want.
Kamehameha's koas need metal to make weapons, but unlike their womenfolk, they have nothing to offer.
See, so the cold warriors is telling all the women, go have sex with them, get metal. We need metal to defend ourselves. We see what's going to happen. We see what they're doing.
During Makahiki, the warriors are forbidden to wage war, but they are determined to put on a show of strength.
So, during this time, we're forbidden to wage war. But these Europeans is pushing their weight around because they know that right now we can't fight. So they're acting stupid. They pushing our buttons. They're using us. Taking our women, taking advantage of our women. Disrespecting us. So we said, you know what, we had to break the rules. We know we couldn't kill them. We know we couldn't fight them. So we said, you know what, let's fight. We'll fight and we'll show them our skill so they can, be a little weary. Stop being so aggressive. We to show them that we were is not just friendly people, because they're taking advantage of our kindness, mistaking our kindness for weakness.
I think there's a lot of status anxiety going on here, and some of that posturing on the beach is, look at us, we're big and strong.
You see how they're acting like, oh, they're just dumb monkeys, like, look at me, big and strong. Or was it like, hey, bro, you guys should wise up because, we break you in half, okay? You're lucky you came on Sabbath when we cannot fight you. But don't think I'm weak.
Cook's men describe it as a boxing match.
But this goes way beyond sport.
Frequently, people were killed in these matches, literally beaten to death.
But for now, the warriors are kept in check by the taboos of Makahiki.
See, he said frequently they die, but not then, because it's Makahiki. They were just showing them, bro. We have skills. We have our own martial arts. You may have metal weapons. Don't count us out yet. Because what we fail to understand is this is an overthrow. This is an invasion. The game plan. They came with the army to take over the island. If they couldn't take over the island, they were at least gonna log the island, the resources, the reserves, the hierarchy, the different bays, the bays to approach, which bays you can land in.
Beneath the surface, though, tension is rising.
Many of the trades, at least we would perceive today to be very unfair, to say I'll give you 30 hogs for one nail or such, might be an indicator that the Hawaiians felt.
So just like in America, at first they was like, oh yeah, we'll give you all this, and give you handfuls of nails, handfuls of stuff. Yeah, oh yeah, give me that pussy, yeah, handfuls of stuff. And then eventually they started saying, okay, give me 30 pigs and I'll give you this one nail, because they realized that they wanted the metal and they were using it to forge weapons. What did they say the Cold Warriors wanted? We need the metal, people, so we can make weapons. So they realized that the Hawaiians weren't just getting the metal for stupid things, for fish hooks, but they were actually getting the metal to forge weapons. And as soon as they got the metal, they went into forging all these weapons. So they started saying, you know what, oh no, for this piece of metal you gotta give me this, making it unreasonable. taking advantage, just like the books say of the negotiations between the native or aboriginal people of America. The same thing.
That they were justified in taking certain things from the British.
So the Hawaiian accounts say that, you know, we was justified. They was robbing us. They was making unreasonable demands. They had changed up their game plans, and they were being difficult and unfair, and to the point where disrespectful, and we were justified because we paid for those stuff. So we took the stuff that we paid for. They made the negotiation for this, then we came, they said, no, that's not enough, we're going to change the negotiation. So we took it, and we were justified. And that's how we think, the moral ways that we think.
There is now a spate of petty pilfering. The warriors begin to display an attitude the British describe as too much bordering on insolence. It's described as too much bordering on insolence. It's described as
It's at least what we would perceive today to be very unfair. To say I'll give you 30 hogs for 1 nail or such might be an indicator that the Hawaiians felt that they were justified in taking certain things from the British.
there is now a spate of petty pilfering. The warriors begin to display an attitude the British describe as too much bordering on insolence.
Now you understand, kid, the British came here is having sex with all their women, promoting a lie that they're gods, working divisions between each other, them, releasing bioweapons, unfair trade, and now we are realizing that they're here not for trade, not for peace, but for conquest. So we're showing we don't appreciate the situation we're in. And what do they say? Oh, they're boarding insolence, meaning we are their gods, we are their leaders, we're the owners of these brown men made in the image of God. They're insolent. They should listen. They should do as ordered. In your land, in my land, telling the person you're insolent while I rape you for everything you have, just like in America.
There's an account written in one of the journals that the British had sort of been exploiting the Hawaiians for resources, and one of the Hawaiians rubs the belly of a British sailor and says, well, it seems like you're about full now, it's time for you to move on. Of the Hawaiians.
See, like, they make us as idiots, but I know from growing up, from being raised and seeing actual Hawaiian men being taught by them, that they're the smartest people. The problem with us is we had drugs shoved down our throats. So now we have a lot of people that's no good. But because of drugs and miseducation and the subjugation and marginalization of our people. But we have always been, we will always be smart, righteous, spiritual.
Rubs the belly of a British sailor and says, well, it seems like you're about full now, it's time for you to move on.
I mean, how witty is that? Oh, rub the belly. Oh, seems like you had enough of ours. It's time for you to leave now because you're taking advantage of us. So this is right before war goes on. I'm trying to tell you, bro, just leave my house. Bro, just get out of here already before I beat the out of you, right? When you had somebody come to your house acting silly, right? You guys drinking and they gotta get all crazy. No, bro, just bounce or else you gonna get it. I ain't even gonna have this. Just get out of here before something happens to you. That's what they were saying. Like, we're done with this already. We know what you're here for.
Once again, Cook...
You gotta understand, we covered in the first one, Dum Diversus. Dum Diversus states, anyone who doesn't have a Christian God, a Christian God, the Jesus, who doesn't worship Jesus, they can be conquered by the European countries. So they weren't coming here to be friends. They were enacting Dum Diversus and all the papal bulls that came after. Doctrine of Discovery, all of these things. You gotta think, the mindset. When we go to Iraq, is our mindset to trade or to conquer and destroy?
seems either unaware or unconcerned by any of the warning signs. After 16 days in Hawaii, Cook finally set sail.
So 16 days, releasing bioweapons, getting allies against the king, just totally being unfair and using every aspect of these people. Discovering that they're making weapons, so making it hard for them to get metal.
The great explorer returns to his primary mission, to discover the elusive Northwest Passage.
So this is the garbage I'm gonna tell you. Oh no, he came to look for the Northwest Passage, but in actuality, his goal, his mission was to conquer Hawaii. They're gonna try and make it seem as if he was trying to leave and he couldn't leave, so he had to come back. But no, he had gathered the information. He made one more attempt to try and conquer Hawaii, Big Island, and so that he could lay the foundation for his forces.
Believed to be located in the frozen wastes of North America.
Cook's initial visit to Hawaii is very largely successful. You know, it's a classic visit to a Polynesian island. It's the kind of thing that naval men will dream of.
After leaving the shelter of Kealakekua Bay, fate now intervenes.
Oh, fate!
Cook's ships ride the storm for 3 days, and then disaster strikes. The foremast on HMS Resolution shatters. The crew has no alternative but to limp back to Kealakekua for major repairs.
Cook arrives back in Kealakekua Bay, and he and his men must have expected that they'd meet the same happy, enthusiastic, positive, friendly Hawaiians, and they don't.
So they come back, and the Hawaiians is like, "This is it. This is when they come. This is the conquering. They coming back to conquer us." Oh yeah, we told them. Oh, the ship broke. It's gone 3 days. 3 days. Came back. Prepared. Now let's see what we are told in this story.
For Kamehameha and the Hawaiians, the strange return of Lono
Now you gotta remember, Captain Cook is a Freemason.
is profoundly disturbing. According to their religious beliefs, this simply shouldn't happen.
Rather than being open and friendly, most of the people recede and hide from the ships instead of welcoming them.
You gotta understand, they're giving you partial information. Why did people recede and hide from the ships? What, were they openly shooting people when they were there last time? No, right? You don't hear about that. But what did they do in other places prior to Hawaii? They released bioweapons. Takes about a day to 3 days in order for it to take effect. Right? So the remaining people who weren't sick yet seen the ships and said, let's get away from them because they bring death, they bring sickness. Isn't that a good reason why we would retreat? We would hide from them and stay away from them because they bring nothing but poison. They bring nothing but death and destruction. That's what it was. They were laying bioweapons, and they had taken effect while they were gone. They came back hoping that the population would be ravaged by disease and they could take the islands. And that's why the warriors had met them. Like, what you back for? Just so happens the god Lono comes and leaves and all these sicknesses occur. That's what happened. Bioweapons.
What the British don't realize is that Makahiki, the season of peace, is over.
It's a different time of the year, it's a different season, and
It's 3 days later. It's 19 days. It's 19 days from when they first came.
nothing is going to be the same second time round.
The seasons are changing between Makahiki in the time of Lono and the time of war.